Hey guys, what is going on? It's Fen here again. So today I'm going to teach you how to make your own Minecraft character, and this principle will apply to any character, whether it be Steve, a pig, a duck, an octopus, an enderman. Everything is the same. It's all based around the textures, and the texture determines the size. Now I've got a little chart here for you guys just to visualize what I'm talking about. So each pixel in Minecraft is actually 3.125 centimeters in diameter. Now that means if we go to Photoshop here, each pixel here, here, even his mouth pixels, his chest, his arms, whatever it may be, they are all 3.125 centimeters in diameter. Now if we made a character out of 3.125 diameter, then the character would only be 1 block tall. Now this is because each block in Minecraft is 1 meter, and the reason it's 1 meter is because Notch is from Sweden and they basically measure in meters, and different people around the world measure in different, in different ways. I personally use centimeters if it's a low scale object like a desk. It could be, I don't know, 220 centimeters, something like that. I prefer to do it that way, and then obviously I move into inches if it gets even bigger, and then feet, etc. So you've got to double that small pixel to make it, of course, 2 blocks. So the actual pixel that you need to use is, or the actual size is 6.25. So remember this, guys, 6.25 is very important. This is each pixel in Minecraft instead of 3.125. The next one is, how do we measure our pixels? How do we actually get the exact size? Well, you basically times the pixel by the amount of pixels there is. So for example, 6.25 times 8 is going to be 50. And I've got another example, is 6.25 times 20 equals 125. So very easy to calculate. It's very round numbers in most cases. And yeah, I mean, you get the idea. I'm not going to teach you guys maths because I suck at it. But that being said, let's go into Cinema 4D and start building this. Now, I will leave the exact measurements in the description, so if you guys just want to power on ahead and actually build your character, fair dues. But if you want to learn the exact numbers and kind of get it into your mind, if you're going to be making several different characters with several different things, some people like to model just the base character and then add stuff to him, like a hat, a mustache, ears, a nose, all that kind of stuff. It really depends how far you want to go with your character. So let's start off with the head. Now the head is going to be, the head is 8 pixels. Let's just double check inside Photoshop. So I'm going to drag a marquee tool around, and the width and height is 8 pixels, and we know his head is actually a square, so it's going to be 8 by 8 by 8. Cool. So let's go to Cinema 4D, and off the top of my head, I know that's going to be 50 excuse me, going to be 50 pixels because we have it in our chart. But also, if we didn't want to go in all the brain power of working out sums, we could always type it into Cinema 4D. So I'm going to go 6.25 times, it's shift and 8, which will get the little star, and times it by, 8, and it's going to be 50. So that's a nice way of actually working it out, especially if you're not great at maths, which I know a lot of people are, because maths is boring as hell. Anywho's, let's do it on the body next. So this is going to be the body. You might want to name these because cube 1, blah 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 is going to be a bit confusing. But seeing as this is a tutorial, I want to keep it as short as possible for you guys. I'm just going to leave it as cube. So what is the X? If we look at the axes here, the X is going from left to right, the Y is going from up and down, and the Z is going back and forth. So the way you do it is X, Y, and Z. So the X is left to right. So if we go into Photoshop, it's going to be the front of his body, and we know this is going to be the width is 8 pixels, excuse me, and we already got the height there, which is 12. So we can go back into Cinema 4D, and we know 8 is actually 50. So the X is 50. Now the Y was 12, so we will do 6.25 times 12, and it's going to give us 75 awesome. And then what is the z-axis? The z is this way, so how fat is he per se. So let's have a look. So it's on the side here. This is the side of his body. And the width is 4. So that would be, well, half of A is 25. So we don't even need to do any calculations there. We just kind of know from brain power that is 25. And there we go. Now some of you guys might have problems actually lining these up. So if we move it down, move it down on the axes, you will see that, you know, you might want to get it here. And let's just give it a render. And you see there's actually a gap there, so that's not really good. So let's do Control Z, get it back to world 000, which is world 0 space. And then go into the move tool, just click on the move tool, and you'll come up with the properties. Go to snap settings, go to quantize, enable move quantize, because we want to move it in a certain increment. You can always do this with scale as well, so you can scale it every 10% or 10 degrees. Same with the rotation, of course. The scale, how scale do you want it? I mean, you could even model this in 3.125 and scale it up, but it's a lot easier just to do it this way. So basically, we want to move it every 6.25 centimeters, and then that way it will snap, because it will basically think it's a new, well, it's a new pixel. So it will actually just snap in place, so everything is dandy. If we move up one, you can see that's how big a pixel is. It's actually 4 pixels. Here it would be, I don't know how many it would actually be, but each square, so each, well, let's just give you an example here. I'll move this over a bit so you can see. So 6.25 and 6.25 and 6.25. You don't have to do this, I'm just giving you guys an example. Each face on here would be 4 pixels. Each little corner would actually be a pixel, so you got 4 on each side. So that's just giving you an actual measurement of how big this actually is, so keep that in mind. We might as well actually use this one and do the arms. Now the arms and the legs are exactly the same dimensions, so we only have to do one, and then we can copy and paste it just to save a lot more time. So we've got the head, we've got the body, now we need the arms and legs. So let's have a look. So the height is 12 and the width is 4. Now if we go to the top, we also know the dimensions of all sides is 4. So 4 and 4 for the X and Z, and the Y will be the same, so it'll be 12. So this is very easy, because it'll be 25, 75 and 25. And that, my friends, is the arms and legs done. So let's just actually move it in position across here. Now because we're snapping, everything is lining up perfectly. So if we even zoom in here, get a really nice tight shot and press render, you see everything is actually 100% stuck together, and it looks like just one mesh. So that is perfect. So hold Control down and drag to make a new copy, or you can do Control C, Control V, whichever way you want to do it. Drag it to the other side, and then grab both of these arms, do the same, Control and drag, bring these down to the bottom of the body, and then just select them individually and move them in until they are pretty much centered, like so. And there is your Minecraft character. So he is looking pretty good. So let's turn on display ground shading with lines, because we want to see the outline of these. Now the body is actually up a little bit, we didn't move it down, so let's move it back down, and then we need to just adjust the legs as well. Let's move the legs down a little bit, there we go. So our character is pretty much done now. So depending on what you are actually using this for, if you're using it for a still, like you wanted to just rotate his arms, let's just change the, I have to make it editable first. Well, I guess we'll have to do that after, because I want to show you something else first. But if you wanted to just pose this guy, you could just make it editable, move the axes tool. In fact, I'll just show you with a copy of this. Let's bring it across. Make it editable by pressing C, or this button up here. I'm going to move the axis tool up to the top. There we go. As it's snapping, it's snapped to the exact top, which is awesome. I'm going to snap it to the side as well, because this is where I want his arm to pivot from. Turn off the axis tool, and basically just move this back in place. And then I'm going to hide the other mesh. And then basically all you would do is you just rotate this, and you would pose him however you wanted to pose him, like this. If you wanted to do a salute, Heil Hitler, something like that. You could pose him like that, and obviously texture him, and render him out, and there you go. You've got a nice thumbnail for your Minecraft series, something like that. Very simple. However, if you wanted to animate this guy in a series such as my machinima that I'm doing, or something like that, you would have to add more subdivisions and get your character ready for rigging. Now, it really depends on how you want to rig your character, will determine how you do this. Some people like to rig their character up first and then add in the cuts where needed. Generally, you want cuts or more subdivisions around where the actual bends would take form, because otherwise you just wouldn't need any geometry up here, because it's just kind of useless geometry really. But because this character is so small and he's very box-like, well, he is actually box-like, isn't it? The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to basically just add subdivisions all over his body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all these arms, because I want all these to have the exact same amount of subdivisions, and I'm basically going to start increasing them. Now what you're aiming for is to have these square. So there we go. So the top looks very square. We don't want too many, because if we up this to like 18, even on both sides, that's just too many. It's a very dense mesh, and it'd be very hard to work with. You want the least amount of polygons possible, but with the right amount for what you want to do. So for us, 3 is actually perfect, because they're quite big squares, but we don't actually need them there, because there's not going to be any deforming there. They're just there for to give a little bit of extra durability to the mesh when it's bending, because we don't know how far we want the arm to bend, and if we don't add enough, we're going to get some really funky results. So I'm going to add with the Y segments, make these square as possible, so they still look a bit rectangle. As you can see, these little rectangle shapes, want them more square than anything. So that actually looks quite accurate. So there we go. Now we just really want to do the same with the chest, but we want to line them up to these squares. So what we would do is we would start with the bottom here. As you can see, these lines are actually in between these. The middle one's fine, but we need to add 2 more to kind of split these so they actually match up. So there we go. So it's 6 on the X, and then the Y, it'll be the same. So we'll add them until they match up. So that's 8, of course. And then on the sides, we can't really see, so let's just disable some of the arms, and we can see, and we can give the use the leg as a reference. So it's split once. We need to split it again, so it's 3, and there we go. So it looks like one mesh now, which is what we're after. So that's pretty much the body done. Now, depending on how many joints you add into the body, you might need more joints on the Y, because the Y is where you will be bending this. So an example I could give you really would be to use the bend deformer. If I had the bend deformer to the body, and then sometimes when all the time when the bend deformer comes in, it's very out of proportion, so I need to just do a little bit of tweaking before I show this to you guys. So like that on 90 degrees, that's fine. And then I'm going to make it the same size. So the X was 25, the Y was 75, and I don't remember, I think it was 50, I think. Yeah, 50. So what I need to do now is go into a different perspective, probably the side would be a good idea, and then just move this bend deformer down to the bottom. And this is basically a perfect example of how many subdivisions you would actually need. So if I click on the cube and start reducing the subdivisions, you will see his body gets well, if we add just 0 subdivisions, which is technically 1, his body is linear. It's going from point A to point B. If we add 1, you're going to see we're going to get a really harsh curve here. And you can see the outline of the bend deformer, how smooth it is in comparison to our geometry, which is very harsh. So the more we add, the smoother it will become. And you really want to say to yourself, how smooth do we want this? How noticeable would this be? For me, thinking of this, being a Minecraft character, we don't want it mega smooth because it will just look unrealistic. Even though in Minecraft it can't actually bend, in Machinimas, obviously it's a really nice feature to have because it's not possible. But with Machinimas, you kind of want to push the boundaries. And so 8 is a very good curve. As you can see, it's not perfect, but it's usable. It's very usable. We've got a nice curve there, and it looks very good. So that's pretty much how you want to think when adding cuts and geometry to your geometry, if that makes sense. Well, these are technically polygons. So the more dense your mesh equals more polygons. For another example, if I take this arm and add hypernerbs to this, you're going to see we're going to get a really... right, what's that? Is that still the arm? Why do we have 2 arms there? Let's actually delete that one. But yeah, as you can see, we've got a very dense mesh here in comparison to the other ones. And of course, it's rounded the corners. Now, if you wanted to keep the corners, you know, sharp, you would have to add control edges. Now, this is obviously going into more modeling side, so I'm not really going to talk about that. But, you know, it's not really needed. Like, if I were to deform this, it'd be a lot harder because there's just so many bends, so much polygons in here to bend. You're going to start getting funky results, especially for a low poly character like this. That's why you see in game models, all that kind of stuff, they always have a very low poly mesh, and they basically render the like displacement normal maps on top. So basically they take the high res model, they render out a displacement and normal map, and then they put that on top of the low poly mesh to get the illusion that the low poly mesh actually is the high poly mesh. But it's a lot easier to animate a low poly mesh, and it's a lot quicker on the render times. Anyways, we're kind of babbling on now, guys, so I hope you understood all this. I will leave the exact measurements in the description for you guys, just in case you want to power on ahead. But I hope you learned a few stuff from this about you know, not going crazy like this with all the polygons, because it'd be extremely difficult to animate and very messy. One last thing before we go with the head. I didn't talk about the head because the head is kind of a whole tutorial by itself. If you just want a normal Minecraft face, you don't even need to add any more geometry to this, any more cuts or anything, simply because the head doesn't bend, it's just a box, so this is fine. However, if you're adding eyes, like 3D eyes, a mouth, that type of thing, you will have to add individual cuts to the mesh, instead of just adding a bunch of cuts like so. You'd have to obviously... it'd be easier to cut in your own lines rather than having it like this, because at the sides here you wouldn't use all this, and then it's just wasting memory when it comes to rendering out, and it's just a bit messy. So yeah. So anyways, I hope you guys actually enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed making it. I'm really glad that I'm helping some people out there that really want to, you know, get into machinery and stuff. So that's making me very happy, because, you know, I like to help people, and this is one of the ways I can help. So, you know, it's all good all around. So guys, if you've got any questions, comments below, make sure you do them. And if you enjoyed this, make sure you share it with your friends, hit the thumbs up button, and I will catch you guys in the next episode. Peace out.